Ag Life, presented by ADM Lloydminster.
Hello again and welcome to our agriculture show, Ag Life. I'm Gerard Lampow, and on the menu, rural crime takes center stage at AgriVisions, plus License to Farm Chapter 4 looking at the romantic ideal and tips to protect your calves from that deadly disease, scours. But first, another visit with our community partner in agriculture. We check in with our friends ADM at AgriVisions for a chat with Mark Symington.
I started in May of 1995.
Wow.
So I graduated out of Lakeland College in Vermilion.
Awesome, Lakeland.
Lakeland. So I'm local, grew up around Provost on a mixed farm.
Yeah.
And started here and never left ADM.
Never looked back even.
Never looked back.
You're in merchandising. What exactly is that?
I've had various roles since I've started. I actually started as a seed buyer, where I was strictly buying canola from producers. Soon it evolved into trading some meal, doing logistics on truck, arranging seed pickup on farm.
Right.
I spent a year and a half at our Watson elevator. It was built right after I'd started, so that was a new...
And they needed a good guy from the Midwest to go out there, hey?
I would think so, yeah.
I
exactly.
think so too. So you're still interacting with folks as a merchandiser, hey?
Yes, yeah. I'm a senior merchandiser now. I've been back in Lloyd. I was with the Animal Health Division in Lethbridge with ADM, and I've been back in Lloyd about 11 years now.
Right.
From Lethbridge.
Right. So what would you be telling folks about ADM, especially folks, you know, maybe new to canola, new to the area even, and maybe don't know anything about agriculture?
Well, ADM runs one of the larger canola crushing plants in Lloydminster. We've expanded canola crush since I started. We offer competitive pricing and various marketing options for farmers to be a success in growing the crop.
Yeah, and I'm sure folks are taking lots of advantage of that because it's been a challenging harvest season into this point, hey? And folks are being able to take advantage of the various programs you guys have.
It has. It's been a challenge here the last couple of falls. And, you know, I think we've been able to offer producers good delivery, good movement, ease of delivery for wait times,
Right.
and overall competitive prices, which ultimately that's what producers are concerned about.
Yeah, competitive prices and ease of
And
delivery.
service.
And service, there you go. So in terms of, say, coming to the plant, because we always see the big trucks on the highways and so on, coming to the plant delivery, is it like a good turnaround, so to speak?
It is. We strive to get guys in and get them out. We do have mechanical issues due to cold weather and other things, but that's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
But we've improved a lot since I started with ADM, and we strive to make sure that producers are in and out, and we take delivery of the product in the month that we say we're going to take delivery.
All right, so ADM stands as its word. The month you say delivery, bang on target, hey?
Right.
Perfect. Could you tell me maybe some of the programs maybe that folks like when they come to ADM maybe?
I think there's various reasons that people come to ADM. Price competitiveness. We offer market knowledge and try and update producers as best as we can with what we're seeing in the markets. We offer a great app, the FarmView app, that they can download and view prices and get their contracts, how much they have delivered and how much they need to deliver against contracts. We offer an opportunity for producers to deliver when they need to deliver.
And it's time to roll our events calendar. If you want to get in on this part of the show, you just got to email me, glampow@newcap.ca. Let's have a look. And when we come back, ag producers pack the room as rural crime takes center stage. Do stay with us.
This segment of Ag Life is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Webb's Machinery, your New Holland dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, and Lamont.
Welcome back. Ag producers are battling to protect their property in the face of rural crime. I discovered the latest twist as producers pack the room at AgriVisions.
With a WhatsApp, you can go unlimited.
Rural communities are pulling together in the fight against criminals who break into their homes and farms. For another year, rural crime was one of the topics being discussed by ag producers.
We're just trying to, pass information. Hey, this truck's driving around. Hey, this white car is driving around, or whatever, right? And then people are looking for that, and that's how we've actually managed to catch a few individuals.
Marwayne farmer Garth George was on the panel along with Lloydminster security expert Clay Hines.
It seems like every fall and spring, we get more and more calls, people having things go missing from their yard and not knowing where it went and who took it.
Apart from the uptick in business once the weather warms up, Hines says people can make use of the technology to monitor their homes.
The biggest thing that we can do is give people an early warning that someone's coming into their property, whether it's a yard or a shop or even a home. If we can give those people a heads up that something's happening, then they can in turn call the police.
The technology includes cameras like this system overlooking the X grounds.
What it does is it sends a chime to the house.
Alerts and visuals are set up to go to your phone. Provincially, there's also support for communities coming together.
Well, the old philosophy of neighbors helping neighbors, neighbors watching neighbors, that's evident here today as well. And groups have to get together and citizens get together to fight the crime wave. And the education and preventing crime is the answer.
DeWitt cautions about individuals taking matters into their own hands.
We don't want people risking their lives and risking their health to do the job of a police officer, which they're not trained for.
DeWitt says there's a new tool to help identify property when police recover it.
The trace pen is coming on stream. It's a identification marking type pen. It's available through the Crime Watch associations, and I believe you can get it online at traceidentified.com. And it's a way to mark your items. It's invisible, and the RCMP have ways to identify stolen property that way.
And when we come back, it's License to Farm Chapter 4, looking at the romantic ideal. Do stay with us. This next segment comes to us from Saskatoon. With numerous battles going on in the world of agriculture, well, these features are tackling these hot-button topics. Here's License to Farm Chapter 4, looking at the romantic ideal. Consumers are concerned that the traditional farm is gone, replaced by industrial food operations.
The family farm, a tradition in Canada going back 200 years. Today's farmers face the same challenges as their forefathers. Weather, soil fertility, pests, commodity prices. But today's family farm is a vast and complex enterprise employing cutting-edge technology. From breakthroughs in genetics, communications, and chemistry, we grow our food more quickly with less energy, less environmental impact, and in greater abundance than ever before. But farmers face a new challenge. Consumers and activist groups have called into question, has technology made our food different? Is our food safe? Consumers are increasingly concerned that the romantic ideal of farming is gone, replaced by industrial food operations that grow inferior food, less satisfying and less nutritious. Many people also believe that farmers are forced to buy seeds from certain companies, are virtual slaves to unfair policies, and are no longer in control of their land or the crops they grow. But does this perception match the reality?
A lot of people want their lives to change, but they don't want farmers' lives to change. So a lot of people would be really, really insulted if you told them they had to put away their iPhone and they had to go back to a phone that you actually turned the crank on in order to get 3 rings. So their idea is, though, that farmers will continue to use the technology that was around when the phone was a crank phone.
It's confusing when we hear about corporate farms versus family farms. And the truth is that 97% of the farms in Canada are still family owned and operated. And that includes ours, regardless of the fact that it's larger in size. That's become a reality of our business.
Most consumers believe that farmers are forced to use specific GMO seed and specific pesticides from big companies, but that's not true at all. In fact, farmers make those decisions because it's what's best for growing those crops most efficiently. It actually lets them to produce more food on the same amount of land.
The efficiency with which you use land is a really important environmental metric. If you can get the maximum yield from the smallest area of land, then you can spare a much larger area for the rainforest and for wetlands and for other areas of habitat which are really important for natural species. If, on the other hand, the whole world has to go organic and go back to using, old technologies from the 1950s, then we'd have to double the area of land which we're ploughing up, which would mean destroying the rainforest and so on. And nobody gets this, right? Everyone thinks that organic is better for the environment, but because it's less productive, because by definition it uses more land, that's actually a much worse issue if you're concerned about biodiversity and conservation.
If science can continue to be a part of seed development, farmers are going to have more opportunity to grow the food that we need with potentially the use of less pesticides, with better disease prevention, some drought tolerance. The seed varieties that have science behind them allow us to better manage our risk in the field. Mother Nature is really the one that controls the weather. The farmers are the ones that have to do the best job we can to grow a healthy plant given the environment that we're in.
The scientific consensus about food safety is not new, and farmers have always used the most cutting-edge technology available. Canada's own regulatory agencies and the farmers themselves know that the food we grow and the way we grow it is safe. And yet, in the public sphere, a passionate debate continues, a debate that seems to have less to do with science and more to do with a battle for public perception.
Certainly one organization can make a difference, but if we work with others, we'll have a bigger impact. So we've been working with partners such as agriculture in the classrooms so that people understand what agriculture is. Saskanola is also looking at doing work with dietitians, culinary schools, people like that, so they can understand that the food that they're cooking with and they're providing people is safe and actually has some real healthy attributes.
The reason that negative agricultural information or myths about food get more traction than positive information or scientific information is very much the same reason that murder makes page 1 of the newspaper.
There are very few emotions that humans have that really make us want to act, and fear, that's one of them.
It's easy to develop this fear that somehow you've mixed large amounts of genetic information and you've created something totally different. Again, nothing could be further from the truth.
People have always been suspicious of new technologies and new innovations. I've heard it said that the French opposed the refrigeration of meat because they worried it would contaminate it. And people also think that natural things are less risky, which is completely illogical.
Relatively until recent times, until 70, 80 years ago, 70% of the population was somehow involved in farming. Today, it's less than 2%. 2% of the population is providing the fantastic amount of food that we enjoy. Well, that obviously had to come about with some innovations in technology. And then, of course, there is the romanticized idea that a small farm somehow produces better quality food than what is possible to do on quote, industrial farms today.
It's called a naturalistic fallacy. And that's one of the great myths of our time. So you can misinform 1 million people using YouTube much more quickly and much more easily than some expert can come back and tell them the truth.
It's sometimes disappointing and a little bit painful to talk to people and have them talk about what I do with so little understanding of what I do. We want to take care of the land that we grow it on because this is the land that we've had for generations. I love farming and I love the way that we farm.
With every sort of added regulation or policy that gets put into place based on consumer concerns as opposed to scientific concerns, it's not necessarily going to always be the farmer's choice of how they operate.
If farmers don't stand up and speak out and become their own advocates and tell their own stories, this trend of other people telling their stories for them is going to continue, and it's going to grow exponentially.
If farmers don't take the opportunity to speak up about the decisions that we want to make, my fear is that we will lose that privilege.
Generations of farmers have struggled and prospered here, but the landscape has changed, and their biggest challenge yet still remains: standing up to dispel the myths about modern agriculture. Will Canadian farmers make themselves heard before it's too late? Or will they stay silent and lose their license to farm?
And still to come, prevention is better than cure. We have tips on protecting your calves from scours.
Ag Life, presented by ADM Lloydminster.
Well, here's another case where prevention is way better than the cure, especially with expectant cows. I learned about that deadly disease called scours.
Scours is neonatal diarrhea. I mean, it's most commonly around here would be in our calves in the area. That's when they're most prone in the first month of life.
Some producers have already started calving season, but for many others, calving will be in the spring. Preventing an illness like scours in calves requires planning ahead.
There's different vaccines that we use in the cow herd, in the heifers that are pregnant, the cows that are pregnant. We're trying to boost the antibodies as high as we can in them, so when that calf is born and they're nursing, they're taking all those antibodies in. But it's important that everybody knows that those calves can really only absorb those antibodies for the first 8 to 10 hours of life. After that, it's too late.
The area of the calf's stomach that receives colostrum is only open in the first few hours of life.
It is imperative to get in good quality and enough colostrum from that heifer or that cow, which may mean, if we're unsure, it may mean using some of the packaged colostrum products to make sure that these calves are getting enough.
So a 40-kilogram calf should get about 2 liters of colostrum in the first 6 hours of life to prevent scours. Failing that, the barn could become a hospital ward very quickly.
We just got to keep as clean a calf bedding as we can. Where we were calving them out, we want to get them spread out as far as we can because crowding is a problem. If we start getting scours, and it can be caused by a number of things, viruses, bacteria, parasites, and there's lots of them that can cause different scours.
Calves with diarrhea will need to be isolated as scours is contagious and can be transmitted to humans.
So we have to be careful when we are treating them because we can get sick from some of those diseases that are causing the neonatal diarrhea in calves as well. We need to contact our veterinarians, talk about treatment, what is working. It is dehydration that is really making these calves sick. If they're down and they're losing all that fluid from diarrhea and they're not nursing, they dehydrate very quickly.
Farmers will start with oral fluids and electrolytes, plus disinfecting the sick bay, and if that doesn't work, then the Lloydminster Hospital is the next port of call. The stress, the cost, and the hours involved in treatment adds up if there are hundreds of calves infected. It's important to change the bedding and keep it dry, and then the weather is always unpredictable.
If there is crowded, dirty calf bedding where they're being born, any of that from our weather changes, that can cause a problem. Definitely with our country, you never know day to day, week to week, what's going to happen. So weather changes can definitely cause the stress on calves and make them much more prone to having scours.
That's a wrap on this week's show. Yours in Ag. Take care.